call Kelvin Davis.
Thank you, Mr Chair, and it's a pleasure to talk on the drug and alcohol testing of community-based offenders in Bailey's legislation bill. The bill is in 4 parts, and each part, because New Zealand First wants to take this debate each part separately, where there's going to be a lot of repetition in the bill, and so I'll sort of cover a few things off. Part 1 being it makes amendments to the Bail Act of 2000, Part 2 the Parole Act of 2002, Part 3 the Sentencing Act of 2000, and Part 4 the Public Safety Public Protection Orders Act of 2014. And everything that I say basically in Part 1 is able to be repeated for Parts 2, 3 and 4. I'll just take a couple of points out of the bill, and in clause 4, when we talk about bodily samples, we're meaning a sample of the person's blood, breath, hair or urine. Now, when we talk about testing offenders to see whether they've got alcohol in their systems, one of the things we have to be aware of, if we attach a device to their bodies, is that it's possible for devices to possibly pick up alcohol-based products. I remember when I was a teacher, we had a policeman come around to the school just showing kids about breath testing devices, and the policeman got some kids to gargle Listerine, which was able to pick up the alcohol in the Listerine, and it gave a positive reading. And also there were certain types of deodorant, cologne that were alcohol based as well, and that there was potential there to give off false positives. So that's just something that we have to be aware of. I'm not sure about, I don't know how great the devices are. I suspect that that won't happen, but it was just a possibility, given that the police, their breath testing devices could pick up Listerine and alcohol in the cologne. Before I get into that, I should have said to Mr Chair that this bill is designed to stop people who have an issue with alcohol and drugs and may have offended because of alcohol and drugs. It's monitoring if they have a condition that says that they shouldn't be partaking of alcohol and drugs, or no one should be partaking of drugs in the first place, that this monitors that. And so people who have been allegedly committed a crime, they've been bailed, they may be bailed on the one of the conditions being that they don't partake of alcohol and drugs, or if they've been to court and they've been sentenced to a community sentence, that while they're doing that community sentence they shouldn't partake of alcohol or drugs, or if they've been in prison and they've been paroled, they shouldn't, part of their parole conditions being they shouldn't partake of alcohol and drugs. And it makes sense, because we've got to keep these people away from some of the factors that actually led them to offend, and we've got to keep our communities safe. So the Labour Party does support this. One of the changes made in the when I was at committee stages, when I was at the Select Committee, was the addition not just of drugs and alcohol being consumed by the person, but psychoactive substances. We're well aware of synthetic marijuana and the problems that causes. I think that this is a very sensible inclusion in the bill. As I was, we are aware of the whole debate around psychoactive substances that occurred, I think it might have been last year, and in many cases the whole psychoactive substances cause as much damage and harm in people's lives as does just regular partaking of marijuana and other drugs and substances like that. Another part of the bill that I think is a good inclusion was that the offenders are able to use any information gathered Mr. Chair,
Kelvin Davis.
just briefly, any information gathered actually to support themselves if they, for example, are going for custody of a child, and one of the concerns from another parent is that they have alcohol or drug problems, they can actually use the information gathered by the monitoring devices to prove that they have actually abstained from alcohol and drugs, and that they should be given a chance with their child in that instance. Mr. Chair, this debate, if we do debate it part by part, is just going to repeat the same issues over and over again. And personally, I think that's the time of the House could be better spent on other legislation. But you know, that is the choice of people to wish to actually debate it part by part. So I'll just leave it there at this stage, Mr. Chair. Kia ora.